Greetings. After much prompting from the Lord, I feel like this is something that I really need to do. I've always felt a strong calling towards illuminating personal finance from a biblical perspective. I cannot tell you enough how much it frustrates me when I see people handling finances in a nonsensical way and expecting some kind of glorious outcome. And yet, who can really blame them? With the way that the world is set up, it is extraordinarily difficult to see through the facade that is financial success. I see people who can't even make it from one month to the next without going deep into credit card debt, digging a grave deeper and deeper for themselves each time. And yet the irony of it all is that if you go for a drive around town, you would never think that people are poor, because everyone is driving an exquisite, brand spanking new vehicle, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit or the most expensive clothing, and using or calling their friends or calling each other with the latest and most expensive smartphones. And yet they're all broke. How did we get this so wrong? How did we get to this point? Let me pose a question for you, a simple 50-50 question. If your idea of financial success is owning tons or a massive house or tons of houses, owning lots of cars, expensive cars, having a massive bank balance, having the most expensive clothing, watches, jewelry, hosting elaborate expensive events, and being invited to be in the party of exclusive high and mighty people in society. If that is your idea of financial success, I'm afraid to tell you that you have exactly 0% chance of ever achieving true financial success in your life. So why is this? In this series, I'm going to take you on a journey to open your eyes to understand what wealth is from a biblical perspective. It's time to reset your understanding of money. It's time to clean up the financial mess that you may have created for yourself. It's time to take accountability for your personal finances and to get your mind and your heart set up correctly for true financial success. I know that you will find value in this series. Why do I say that? Because in the Word of God, there is no principle that exists that could ever be proven false. So prepare yourself to receive a revelation and enlightenment and truth from the very definition of truth itself, the Word of God. So now a question you may have is, what makes me so special that I can talk about these things? Or how do I feel like I can share on these topics and have some kind of understanding of them? But I think that's misplaced, that question, because what you need to understand is that it's not about my ability to understand these things or even your ability. It's about the fact that it's in the Word of God. Everything that I'm sharing is already in the Word of God, available for you to go and peruse as much as you want. So it's not like I'm sharing some sort of novel understanding of these things, but it's literally there. What really helps is having a revelation of how all these things tie in together, and not just applying them for self-gain, but applying the word for exactly how God intended for it to be understood, and not twisting things to suit your own view of success or your own view of reality. If you must know, I am a chartered accountant and I work in the financial industry, and I have a very full understanding of the financial markets and how they work. And on top of that, I have a maths degree and I understand statistics very, very well. And what you find is that those two things, accountancy and mathematics, work exceptionally well towards understanding how finances work. That's not to say that you need those things to be able to understand it, but it certainly gives you an extra layer of revelation over and above that. But as I said, all revelation comes from God, and the Word of God is available to you just as much as it's available to me. So let's pursue this with a mindset that all of this is available to share, but you need to apply it correctly in the way that God intended for it to be applied. Now, one last point before we get into the detail of this. You need to prepare your mind and your heart to really receive from the Word of God. The way that financial success has been defined by the secular world has unfortunately pervaded itself into our minds and into our hearts and into the church even. And as a result, the way that we project that view of financial success onto the Word of God is not correct. It's not founded in revelation from the Word of God first and then applied to finances. It's the other way around. It's applying our view or the secular view of finance and putting it onto the Word of God. It cannot be like that. We do not serve a God whose word can be altered to suit our likings. The Word of God is the Word of God, like it or not. So I dare say that there will be people who through this series are going to have their hearts broken, have their dreams broken of what a view of financial success is. But here's the thing, if you stick through with these principles, if you apply them to your life, you will find a sense of contentment in your finance that you would not receive no matter how much money you had right now. If you had $1 billion, you would not receive this level of contentment that you can receive from applying the financial principles in this word, in the Word of God. It's not about being rich. It's not about having everything that you need. There's something different that you need to understand. And through this series, I really hope that God will speak through it and demonstrate that to you, because that's the essence of what it is to be financially content. Remember that our job as Christians is to share the Word of God, is to live God-honoring lives. It's not to be the next billionaire. As much as people might tell you that, that's not our purpose in this world. So I hope that you will continue along, even if your heart gets broken, because I promise you at the end of the day, you will thank me for it.